What's going on, everybody? I'm sorry I'm a little bit late, but this is just a quick recap, breakdown of the interview that I had with Chaz. For those that saw the interview, thank you for watching. If you haven't seen it, it's on my page. Go onto the YouTube section and then go under the live. Oh, it might not be under the live, actually. I made it a premiere, so it's probably under videos, I believe. But you'll find it. It's the last video that I just posted up. I have a guest with me. I'm not sure if she's here. I will add her and see.
Hello.
Hi, Nikki. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good.
So, what did you think of the interview?
It was amazing.
Thank you. You got any feedback? Like, what parts were interesting for you?
Well, if I didn't already like Chaz, I love him.
Chaz
he's
is great.
he's an amazing, lovely person, and he really gave a lot of insight and back and behind the scenes information.
Yeah, so I want to start off, obviously thanking Chaz for that. I don't know if he's going to see this video. I guess I can send it to him. But yeah, so the way how I ended up getting this interview with Chaz in the first place is that he made a post on Twitter, as I was saying in the interview with him, where he said something like, I'm looking to connect with small Black business owners, and because I want to help boost up the community. So I've learned now that Twitter is kind of the place. It's kind of a good place to secure interviews with people. You just have to stay on top of their pages and see when the opportunities come. Because Instagram is a little bit harder for that, and email is a little bit harder. You deal with managers and stuff, but a lot of them on their Twitters will give people opportunities for interviews. So I appreciated that. And I think that he scheduled a lot of interviews in February and March. And as soon as I saw that, I jumped on it and I reached right out to him, and he responded maybe within a couple of days. He said, I'm sorry, but my February is all booked, but let's set a date in March. And then I reached out to Danny to see if she was available on that date that he was available. And fortunately, it all worked out.
Wonderful.
And the one other thing that I wanted to say that was a behind the scenes that I've already told you, my last interview that I did with Alyssa, we booked for a certain time based on the time that she gave me, but she was on Pacific time. So when the day of the interview came, she was like, I'm sorry, Mark, but I accidentally messed up the time zone. So the interview ended up having to be 6 hours later than what she told me, because the time went backwards instead of forwards. She sprung the time forwards instead of putting it backwards. So in some kind of strange karma, for this interview, we scheduled for a certain time, Eastern time and Pacific time, and I gave both Chaz and Danny the wrong time the day before, like a couple days before, and neither of them said anything, and both of them actually showed up at that time that was 6 hours earlier than they were supposed to show up.
So everything worked out.
Yeah, everything worked out.
Cool. Yeah, the interview went fabulous. It really flowed.
Yeah, and I can't wait to have Danny on here. She said that she'll try to be on tomorrow, but she's under the weather. So
Oh,
I hope that she feels better.
get well, Danny.
Yeah, get well, Danny. So Chaz is such a nice guy. Like, he's very nice. He's a very engaging person. He gave us a lot of info. It was funny because as me and Danny were breaking up the questions, and we were meeting about which questions we were going to ask, we took some questions out because we were like, okay, there's only going to be an hour. Actually, Danny said this. She was like, there's only going to be an hour. So we want to make sure to ask the biggest questions that everyone wants to hear. And it's like when we asked certain big questions, he would answer those sub questions that we took out, which was really cool.
Right. He said something about that he was really good friends with Jennifer. So Jennifer was a dual catfish of Brett, former Big Brother house guest, and Xanthi. And he said that he was really close, which I didn't realize watching the edit. He was really close, and they would chat in between segments, I guess.
Yeah, I haven't really watched many Circle interviews. I've just mainly just watched the show itself. But I never heard anyone say that before he said it, which
Right.
is that, there was a lot of context conversations that were taken out for the sake of the show. So so he was basically saying that the show made him look stupid for believing in Jennifer,
Right,
but
right,
but he had so many conversations with Xanthi, that was acting as Jennifer most of the time when it came to that.
right. So, and I think one of the reasons, and I'm just now kind of putting this together, that he got along so well with Jennifer was that he had that good balance and mix of being able to, do the math and do the rankings, and also play the social game and connect with people. And see, with Jennifer, they had, let's see, Xanthi, which was doing the connection, the social piece, and then Brett, who was doing the math, the rankings, right?
And he made a good
So,
point. He actually said he thinks Jennifer played the best game in terms of just gameplay itself. And I didn't think of it that way until he said that. But I agree, because it took both of them. Because Xanthi was the one who connected with everyone on a personal level and made people trust Jennifer. And Brett was the one when it came time for rankings and stuff, like you were just saying. And like Chaz said, did all the math work. Like,
right,
we have to rank this person here in order to improve our position in the game.
right, right. And you only really saw that like once, because a lot of it showed like Xanthi doing all the talking, all the work, and then Brett was like, "Yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, okay, send
He was
message."
not interested in that part.
No,
You connect with them, I do the rankings.
right,
That's our agreement. Yeah, because Xanthi, you could see that Xanthi plays with her heart as well.
right.
Hi, Miss Nappy.
Hi, Miss Nappy. You've got to binge watch the show.
You've got to binge watch the show and then come back and comment what you think.
So, oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Nikki.
So Miss Nappy, it was too much to type, but there's a reason why I said watch that first season before watching this last season with Chaz, and it has to do with, and I'm gonna probably butcher the name, the guy that was on both seasons.
Oh, Shoe Bomb.
Yes, Shoe Bomb.
Shoe Bomb, and they call him Shuby for a nickname.
Yeah, so you don't have to, but it would probably be advantageous to watch the first season and then jump to the last season.
The first season is really good, and the fifth season is now my favorite, which is the most recent. But the first season is my second favorite. I really liked the first season. It had a lot of characters.
Right.
Oh, so Miss Nappy and anybody who has not watched The Circle, just as a brief explanation of what The Circle is, they call it a social experiment. Apparently, I found out as me and Nikki were kind of researching it and talking about it, that it started before the pandemic and before the lockdown, but then it became more popular during the lockdown. So Chaz, I don't remember if he said this in the interview, but he said that the lockdown, it was easy to do the circle and be by himself because he's been doing that because of the lockdown and because of the pandemic anyways, like being in the isolation part of it. But the show itself is that you get to pick a profile and you choose to either go on the circle as yourself or as somebody else, as a catfish, and you have to convince people, not necessarily that you're real, but just you have to make people like you just based on a series of conversations that you have with everybody, um, games and competitions that they have you play and stuff like that. So at the end of each episode, there's usually a vote. Everyone in the house votes, and the top two people that got the top two most votes or highest votes become the influencers. And then they have a meeting and choose who goes home. And that's basically how that goes. It's rather interesting to me.
And it would be perfect for me because I'm an introvert. And then they don't have like really strenuous challenges because they're not gonna like be all together, you know, doing any kind of like strenuous challenge. And then they don't have so the challenges they do have are kind of like what would you call it? Like how well you know topics or whatever. Uh,
Yeah, they do like trivia. This season they had some seasons they've had like cake baking competitions. This season they had a fashion designer come on the show and they had to put together an outfit, things like that.
so for instance, if I went on and said I was a model, then I would should be to ace the fashion challenge or runway challenge or something like that, right? So, you know, and that tells people, gives people clues, and people are like, hmm, she said she was a model, she should know not to put a plaid with a stripe or so. I don't know, you know. Which, remember, that was a challenge with Chaz, and wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And something interesting about what Chaz was saying, like his little context there, he was like, you have to keep track of what you're saying too, even if you're not lying. You have
Right.
to keep you have to keep track of what you're saying because nobody's hearing or seeing you. So if you just happen to slip up and say something wrong, like by accident, it could make a whole thing of paranoia go on in the house and make people question you.
Right. You do get to have a notebook. Unlike Big Brother, you get to have a notebook and you get to write in that notebook. So, one of the key things with Chaz is he wrote down, oh, a couple of them, I think, wrote down everything in the notebook. So, when there was a twist in the game and, you know, there was someone that got hacked, he was able to know, you know, what was said and what wasn't.
Exactly. His notes were so detailed, and he said that from the minute he walked in the house, he started writing everything. And that
Right.
was so smart because I don't know if other people weren't doing it, but we sure didn't see their notebooks.
With Sam, she had notes, I think, but she didn't. I think she was just really intuitive.
I was just thinking that before you even said that word. I was like, I think Sam was extremely intuitive.
Mm.
And I hate to be biased, but I feel like New Yorkers I feel like New Yorkers are just like that because they're paranoid of everybody. So it's like, hey, I can sense that this is a scam because we have scam artists all over the place over here. Yeah, I think she had notes too, but I just really think that she would just think things through really carefully and say this doesn't add up.
Because see, yeah, yeah, because see, and I'll go on. I don't think it'll ruin anything for anybody, but so they had this little code lingo where Chaz was her husband,
Hmm.
gay husband, gusband. And so that was only their lingo, and they hadn't
Hmm.
told anyone else except for one other person. So she put two and two together, and said, "Oh, something's wrong here."
Miss Nappy Kid said she watched the first episode and it was good.
You already watched the first
with,
episode?
with extra O's.
Ah! Wow.
She said, "Don't tell me."
It's good. It's a good show.
Yeah, we're not going to spoil that for you. You're going to enjoy that season. You're going to enjoy that season. But yeah, it was so interesting as Sam was like talking to Chaz. And then he looked at his notebook and he was just like, she was just like, yeah, so glad we had that conversation this day or whatever when the hacker came in. And
Mhm.
he was like looking at his notes, like, what conversation? So even though he said that he played more with his heart than his head, I think he played with a combination of both.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because you don't become the influencer. What did he say? 4 times, and then the top three every single time. He's the first person to do that ever on the show without being smart at the game.
Right, right. And him and Sam both had that balance, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Like she had the realness to her, and she was intuitive, like you said. And the fact that they worked together kind of made them like a superpower
Right,
for the game. Because what he lacked, she had, and vice versa. What she had, what she lacked, he had. It kind of worked perfectly for them.
right.
I was cracking up when I asked Chaz, "What if Sam turned out to be a 6'5" basketball player?" And his jaw dropped. He's like, "I would be devastated."
The same way with Raven. I think he would have been really
He said, "If Sam and Raven weren't who they said they were, he would be devastated."
right.
When I watch the show, I feel like certain stories that people tell is almost like a cheat code. And I'll explain what I mean by that. Chaz talking about his brother dying,
Mhm.
Raven talking about being deaf.
Mhm.
You know, like certain things that people say, you're
Mhm.
like, nobody is just gonna make that up.
Sam talking about his dad.
Yeah, exactly. So
Or
it's like, I mean, they could be a catfish. I think they've had people give stories like that, but generally, I feel like there's certain things that people just don't make up. Like they wouldn't make something like that up.
right. I said Sam, I meant Tom. Tom
Tom, yeah.
dad. Yeah.
Oh no, not the season 1, Sam. This we're not talking about season 1. This is spoilers for season 5 if you haven't seen it. I'm sorry, but we're not spoiling season 1.
No.
Yeah, like certain things I hear people say, I'm like, yeah, they're not gonna throw that in there and be fake. And you're like, if they are fake, they would be in for some kind of hellstorm. Like, why would you pretend to be deaf or why would you pretend to be gay? You know, like certain things you're not gonna fake when you share them with people. And I think that was part of the connection too. Remember when I think admitted that she was bi,
Right.
and that's how the whole like connection in the flag came, and then the Guzman part came. So
Oh yeah, I remember that.
yeah, so they connected for that. And then the Raven thing, I don't really remember. I don't know if he was saying that didn't happen on the show, I mean, on the edit, or I just forgot. But do you remember a time on the actual aired show where they asked who everyone's best friend is?
Yeah. Um yeah, I do remember that.
Okay, it probably just slipped my mind then.
Yeah, I do remember that. And I remember him being surprised that Raven said him.
Oh, it was one of the early episodes, right?
Right, right.
Yes, I remember now. So Miss Nappy Kid said this show is great. And she said, I'll watch it since BB Can has no live feeds. Don't get me started on that. Don't get me started on BB Can.
Okay, so let me ask you guys a question then. With the circle, no feeds whatsoever. What's the pro and con about that? And how is that different from?
Well, so I'm different from most of the everyone who started. I know you are a Big Brother fan, a day one Big Brother fan, and a lot of people are like day one Big Brother fans. I'm not.
Mhm.
So every show that I watched was always edited, just like this one. The Challenge and all the other shows that I was watching are all pre-recorded, edited, and we see them after the fact, sometimes months after the fact. What made Big Brother different to me is the fact that we have the live feeds and we can watch all this context um, in between. So I'm feeling like for a show like The Circle,
Mhm.
they needed to be edited to make it suspenseful, like the way how they make it.
Okay, I can see that.
You know how they do the end of the episode build up and then they show the person walking to the door and all that. Like you couldn't do that if we were seeing them in the house all the time.
Okay. Okay.
So I think it works for this show better than it would work for another show.
The reason I liked it, and I would like for to be able to go back and binge watch it. Watching it live, not, and I'm not going to say live, but watching it during the season. What they'll do is they'll give you like maybe what is it, 2 or 3 shows to watch, and then you can, you have to wait a week, and then you get 2 more, 3 more. Um, and I wanted to just sit and watch the whole thing. I just wanted to like.
Are you talking about BB Can?
No, no, I'm sorry. I'm talking about Circle.
Oh, how they broke it up, like they released 4 episodes at a time.
Right, right. But the pro for me is I didn't get really attached to to the players, like I do with Big Brother. Because with Big Brother, I am so invested with live feeds, Twitter, you name it. It's almost like I'm in the house. So with the Circle, I was able to take a break and be like, okay, so I didn't have that, investment in each of the people, if that
Yeah,
makes.
it's kind of a lighter situation for them. I know that they still have haters and people that are mad at them on Twitter and all that stuff, but not as much as a Big Brother player at all.
Right. And he talked about that tonight.
Yeah, because like you said, we're only seeing what the show put up there.
Right.
So we're not even really seeing much aside from just game strategy, gameplay. Even those breaks that he's talking about where they were not on, we're not seeing any of that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just seeing everything related to the show and they just squeeze it into their 40-minute suspenseful episode and everything. They show us the conversations they want to show us. And I think we love it because it works for this particular show. Now, anytime somebody mentions BB Can, it makes me upset because even with 3 something minute episodes back to back, it still doesn't feel like enough
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
because they're just picking and choosing the conversations. It's like Big Brother is not a show that has games every day. You know what I mean? Like we're not 7 days a week where we do different games and different things. We
Right.
just have the HOH and the power of veto competition. So the other days, the other 5 days, there's no competition. So the strategy happens more than the actual competitions.
Right.
So there's so much missing when all you see is the competitions and then little snippets, like I guess about 2 hours worth for the 3 episodes of 7 days, like
Mm.
squeezing 7 days into 2 hours.
Right. Yeah, it's a lot you're missing as far as strategy, game talk, stabbing people in the back.
Yeah, it's like you don't know how they got there. Like when I
Right.
was watching last week's episodes of BB Ken, yeah, the episodes were kind of interesting, but we don't know. It's so interesting to see when somebody is on the block, let's say, and to watch everybody's conversations with everybody and to see how they're trying to get themselves off the block and get the votes and everything.
Mhm.
Like last week, I was telling you, we saw this big John Michael edit where we just saw John Michael going around. I wanted to see equally what Renee was saying and what Dan was saying, and then, you know, like what conversations people had on the back end when John Michael left the room, if people were talking about him. We would have known that it was a unanimous vote if there
Right.
was live feeds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. I can't wait for BB25.
No one's feeling this season of BB Can, and this is our first season watching.
What a bad season to start on.
Right.
What a bad season to start on. Because everybody was telling me like BB Can is so good. We're liking it better than BB USA. At least all the people that sub to my page. So I wish that I had gotten to see one of the seasons when it was live.
Right. That would have been nice.
You're saying yours too. What are you referring to, Miss Snappy? Yeah, but I think I like that interview with Chaz so much. He had us laughing. And another thing, I'm not gonna go into what it was that he said, but he had like an emergency situation happen the day before the interview. So he said that he actually considered not doing the interview, and he had a really valid reason, as I told him. This is like after the cameras were off, but he did the interview anyways, and as you can see, you wouldn't even be able to tell.
It looked like he had such a good time doing the interview too.
I think he did, and I think it was something where he was in a bad mental space coming into the interview, even though he didn't say that to me or Danny. But when he got into the interview and saw how it went, I think that it actually boosted his mood and, you know, helped him feel a little bit better. Oh, it's your first BB can as well? That's unfortunate. We all got the short end of the stick for that. We drew the short straw, unfortunately. What are we? We're in March, so we got a few months.
July.
I keep telling you guys I picked Zach as my winner, and I regret that. But I do like Ty's position. I picked Ty to be in second, but I like Ty's position in the game so far. I think Ty's playing the game well.
I like Ty. I like Claudia. I like um the HOH, the past HOH. I forget her name now.
Santina.
Santina. I like John. I told you I like John.
John. Who? Oh, Jonathan. Yes.
Jonathan, yes. The fisherman.
Yes. Even though they're not showing him much in the edit, from what they have shown of him, he seems to get along with every side of the house.
I like Koozie too.
Same with her. Like, I like Kuzi, but they're not giving her too much of a spin on the air.
Yeah. See, that's the thing though. We don't know what they're doing. They could be really stirring up the pot.
For all we know, we could have a racist and a misogynist, and we would never know. They can fly under the radar this year.
Really?
No, they really can, though. I never really thought of that, but they actually can. Like, there could be any type of person on the show. How would we know?
Exactly.
Let me see what this says. I thought JM would go home first. I had him going home second, so I'm not surprised. I had predicted he was going to be homesick, not evicted. Oh,
Ooh.
well, I thought he was going to go. That's interesting. But I thought he was going to go just because he said, I'm a super fan and I'm very opinionated and I have a hard time holding my tongue. So I just figured he was going to jump in there and just want to talk trash and make big moves. That's why I thought he was going to go. And that's kind of what he did. He let everyone know he was a super fan. And then he let the guys know that he's their whole side of the house. He's not rocking with them. He had no reason to say that. Even if that was his gameplay and his strategy, none of the girls are going to go up to the guys and be like, hey, if we win, you guys are going up. Even though that's understood, you don't have to say it out loud. This is a chess game.
Right.
It's like you take one of your chess pieces and you're like, if you do this, the next move, I'm going to go over here. You're telegraphing the game and giving them an opportunity to be ahead of you and tell the rest of the house and be like, hey, this is what John Michael said. So he's the target. Miss Nappy likes Claudia.
Yeah.
I like Claudia, but once they declared themselves a showmance, to me, that means one of them is going to go eventually, like, and probably by means of them going on the block together. Or possibly, I shouldn't say probably, but showmances never make it to the end together. Although on BB Can, season 5, Ika and Dimitri's made it very far together, and they got off the block twice together. That was amazing to me. How in the world does a showmance get put on the block 2 times and get off both times? What did you think of the hoodie thing?
The Rob.
That was hilarious to me. That he wasn't giving her the silent treatment. Ty was giving Claudia the silent treatment because of the fact that she was wearing another man's sweater.
You know, and then like what you just said, he probably should have just like let her keep wearing it or not said nothing. And then you know, you got to keep the showmance on the down low, preferably no showmance. And then if it is, keep it on the down low.
Some shows you can get by with a showmance. Like, I think you said you don't watch the challenge, right?
Right.
But like on the challenge, you can possibly get by with a showmance. There's showmances that have made it far. Certain shows you can kind of the showmance aids you because it's a number in your favor. But at least in any Big Brother season I've seen, it's not beneficial for anyone to get in a showmance. Is there any showmance where both people have made it to the end? I assume no.
Not really.
I know showmances where 2 people have gotten far in the game, and then at some point one of them gets out and the other one wins.
Right.
But it's just, if I was in the game, I know they target showmances. So I would be like Xavier. You know how Xavier was, where he was flirting with people, you know, he would lay with them on the couch or on the bed, but he was not actually declaring himself as with any of that.
Right. I mean, and if you're gonna do it, it needs to be like late, way later, like way after
Taylor later. You heard me?
What'd you say?
I said like Taylor later, where you're on day 70 something. That was kind of in a way, in retrospect, that was kind of a smart thing. I mean, even though it kind of worked out in a smart way, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't really a showmance.
Boy, their ratings really went up after that.
Oh yeah. Everyone was tuned into all that.
So, people that weren't Big Brother fans were like, "How do I get that Paramount Plus?"
They sold a lot of Paramount Plus subscriptions. So Miss Nappy is asking, do you think Roberto will blow up Zach's game? Great question. What do you think, Nikki?
Quite possibly.
What I think about Zach, what I think about what's going to happen with Roberto and Zach, I told you this, Nikki. I think that they're not going to make a big move on Zach right now, but I think within the next maybe 3 to 4 weeks, the guys are going to form some kind of backdoor plan because Zach is too power hungry and controlling.
Right.
He's not a front door kind of guy because he would go on some kind of Frenchy, like, he would just be running around the house, opening every door. I could see him being just like that, trying to get in every conversation. What's going on? What are you guys thinking? I think this is the best move. You need to get out this person for this reason. Like, he's backdoor. He's a backdoor guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You don't put someone like him in the through the front door and give him a chance to like wreak havoc in the house for a week.
Yeah, I think things are definitely going to change this week, knowing who's in power. I don't know if you know or not, but I think things are definitely going to change.
Miss Nappy Kid said BB, Jordan, and Jeff got far. So
Okay.
you're the BB person. So tell me who they are.
Mm,
Jeff and do you remember Jeff and Jordan?
yeah, that was early on, and yeah, they did get far, but Miss Nappy might remember more of the details than I do. But yeah, they did. With challenges, she was good at challenges, he was good at challenges, I think. Um, and then yeah, they both went far.
Nice. I think it's possible, but it's kind of, I'm basically saying I think it makes your game harder
Mm-hmm.
because now everybody is like, it's an easy thing to say if you're going to go on the block. You're like, oh, you don't want this person to be in the house because these two are going to be a vote together every time.
Right.
So taking out them takes out the potential of two people being there together.
And you still got to pull your own weight, you know. And I do see like Claudia can pull her weight, Ty can pull his weight. So you still got, you can't be carried, you know, just because you're a couple, you can't be carried.
That's why they have the potential to make it far, I think.
Right.
Because they're both people that are good, that seem to be good at the games. And pretty good with the strategy and everything too.
Right.
It's not like a, what is it, Cody and Jessica.
Mm-hmm.
I think Cody was winning sometimes, or Cody was the one who was better at the competitions. And it's kind of, oh, you know what I was thinking of too? Ika and what's his Demetrius in BB Can season 5.
Mm-hmm.
Demetrius was winning everything, and Ika was not winning anything. She didn't win anything.
Oh.
So he was the one who was making all the choices, the HOH choices and everything, and he was getting the power of vetoes.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't benefit his game really having her there,
Oh.
being in a showmance with her. Like, it benefited him in some ways because he was a rookie
Mm-hmm.
and she had been there before. So she had previous relationships with people, which kind of helped him in the beginning to save him. But as time went on, it was stressful having the two of them in the house because she wasn't winning and helping him out in any way.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch that. I watched like 3 seasons and then stopped, so I'll have to go back and binge that.
BB Can?
5.
You watched 3 seasons of it?
Right. I didn't get to finish it.
3 episodes you meant.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you said 3 seasons. So I
Oh,
was like, oh, you watched a lot.
no episodes.
She said Jordan was one HOH. He was good at comps. And she had a good social game.
Yep. She was a Southern Belle, right, Miss Nappy? And I think he was from Chicago or somewhere in Illinois, maybe.
Correction,
Okay,
Jordan was BB.
there goes my super fan trophy. Okay, yeah.
To be honestly, even if I was a super fan of a show, I couldn't remember this many seasons. So super fan also requires a super memory.
Exactly.
And some of y'all have it and I don't.
And I've been watching since season 1, so
I'm on like a challenge forum on Facebook, and people will talk about an episode from a season that happened in like 2002.
mm-hmm.
And I'm like, unless it was some kind of extremely memorable episode, How am I going to remember that?
Right.
2 decades have gone by. When I go back and I watch these shows, sometimes it's like I'm watching a brand new show.
Right.
Like it'll trigger some memories a little bit, but generally there's a lot of things that I missed. When I went back to watch the cookout season for my interview with Alyssa, I was like, wow, that happened? When did this conversation happen? Like, I don't remember a lot of this stuff.
And see, you can go back on Paramount and do the and select like the lives and the dates and the times of the live you want to watch. I think I don't know if they still have that.
The cool thing now is when we start back up with the BB25 season, now I know that I can actually stream the live stream from StreamYard.
Right.
So I don't have to like point the camera at my TV anymore. I can just pull it up on my Paramount Plus on the website itself on my computer
Right.
and then screen share. As long as they allow the video to stay up, that's the only issue. That's the only potential issue. She
Yeah.
said first she said she's from the South to your
Yep.
question before. And the second thing is Jeff and Jordan also did the Amazing Race.
That's right.
And Claire and what's his name? Derek X won the Amazing Race.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't watch the Amazing Race, but I knew that they won. I think Taylor said she would do the Amazing Race as they asked her and Joseph.
I might watch it then. I don't usually watch those shows. I might watch that then if they
I
do.
would be interested if they went on. That would be interesting to see.
Yeah.
They would get the show would gain a lot of viewers just for that.
Right.
Because they have a whole huge fan base following their relationship.
And I think they do that. See, that's never really been a thing like from the past where they'll have someone on BB and then they'll have someone on Survivor or someone on Amazing Race or whatever. So I think they're doing a lot of crossing game shows and stuff like that. Mm.
You know why? I feel well, it's just this is just a theory for me because you're right. Most of these shows used to every single year get new people from casting or whatever. They're even doing it on the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Where the challenge has Survivor players, Big Brother players, Amazing Race, and Love Island. So what happens is they get these people at one point, like they're new at one point,
Mm-hmm.
and then after they go on the show, they get a huge following on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and all these places. So they're like, instead of just getting a brand new person who's starting from scratch, we'll take this Love Island person and put them on Big Brother, or we'll take this Big Brother person and put them on the Circle, or we'll put this Circle person on Survivor. Well, that wouldn't happen because it's a big leap from doing Circle to Survivor. But in theory, you get what I'm saying. So now, if they follow this person from like Love Island and they have 250,000 followers on their social media platform, and then they go over on this next show, the Love Island people are gonna, the followers that they gained are gonna jump over and watch this other show. And I think it's a little easier for them with the casting too, because they've seen them before.
Right.
And they kind of have a storyline for that person already to inject into the show.
I got one for you.
Mm-hmm.
Sam and Chaz on Amazing Race.
Sam and Chaz on Amazing Race. That would be great. I would be for it just for the commentary. They wouldn't even have to win. I would just be laughing every episode. I need to see Sam on TV again. I have to see Sam on some show at some point. Even if it's like what you were telling me, like some reality show with her and her grandma.
That would be so funny.
Yeah, Sam is hilarious. You know what was interesting about Sam? I was looking at her Twitter, I think it was, the other day, and she was like, I think she said she tried for some other show. I can't remember what it was. It might have been The Circle or it might have been another show. And she said that she was one of the finalists, but didn't end up going on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, you guys wouldn't have liked the person that I was at that time. She
Hmm.
said she was a angry, bitter kind of person. And the timing worked out with The Circle to where she's the person that we saw on The Circle. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh wow. Timing's everything.
I totally agree. Timing is everything. Let me see these comments. I only watched Tar when Brendan and Rachel were on it. Oh, The Amazing Race. Okay. And the challenge used to be Real World or Road Rules cast member. Yeah. Yeah, I remember those days. I used to be watching in those days. I mean, I still watch now, but it was different. Now they just, like I said, they just merged the four shows. And they bring some, Nikki, sometimes they bring on kind of celebrities
Mm-hmm.
or people that are like well known with big followings. Like they're not necessarily from those CBS shows.
Mm-hmm.
But one time, one season recently, they brought on like a professional wrestler, and like they'll bring on people like that who have followings, or they'll bring on like a TikTok star or something like that. Like they definitely do things differently nowadays when it comes to casting.
Right.
That's why I'm so impressed with all the circle casting, because you have to be your own star for the most part. Like I know they have brought on, they brought on those two Spice Girls, and they brought on, like, you know, a couple of times they brought celebrities in there as a curveball,
Mm-hmm.
mainly. But basically, you're in there competing. You're just coming from nothing and making a name for yourself.
I really liked oh, who was it now? I'm forgetting his name. Oliver, that was on this last season.
Yeah, Oliver is really funny. I liked
Mhm.
Oliver, and he did well on the game too for coming on so late.
Right, right. And I kind of see that as a disadvantage though.
It is.
And in
And
me.
and I thought that was so interesting about what Chaz said.
Hmm.
So Chaz was talking about if he had had Tamara and Oliver at the final table. So it would have been like it was a numbers thing, because he was like putting Jennifer at the final table. We knew that Jennifer was going to be last.
Right.
Because he's like, the three of us, we weren't going to have too much to think about there when it came to picking who was going to be in last. Whereas Oliver, I think, had positioned himself in terms of popularity a
Hmm.
little bit better than Jennifer,
Right.
even
Most.
though he came later than Jennifer. But yeah, I think it is a disadvantage because we've even seen in previous seasons of The Circle the fact that people are like, this person doesn't deserve to be there the most because they just got here. Like we've been here strong. Like if a catfish has made it all the way to almost making the final table, I
Hmm.
feel like they're usually going to make it just off of the strength of being there that long.
Right. Build a camaraderie.
Yeah, so like what Chaz said, it's impressive for a catfish to not be there from day one and make it to the final table.
Hmm.
Like it's impressive in general for a catfish to make it, but especially if they were not in the house when the show started. Because you're automatically going to be a little bit skeptical of the catfish.
Right. Like the guy playing for his daughter. I think he had a lot of heart, but I really don't think he was a strategist.
Oh, the dad. Yes,
Yeah.
that's true. Like I bet you they like him outside of the show, but yeah, he was not a strategist or anything like that.
Mm-mm.
And that's the other thing. I mean, Sam and Chaz, kind of their personalities shown through the screen or whatever, and Raven. But if you go in there like you're talking about, or kind of like me, and you're an introvert,
Mm-hmm.
you have to practice not being an introvert in terms of the social media part. Like you can't let opportunities go to talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
You have to really be paying attention to what happens in the games, the little context clues that they give you. You have to know the right chats, the right private chats to open up, the right alliances to form. Because if you're just sitting back and kind of letting the game come to you, you could lose it just like that.
I'd be sitting there reading, writing notes.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, so it lends itself to somebody who's an introvert, really, because
Right.
it gives you the opportunity to do the things that introverts do, which is to scope things out, take notes like you're saying, look at all the profiles. I think you would be excellent at that, actually.
And you know what I would love to know? Like, how do they remember all of the emojis? Oh my God. I would, how do they know?
I'd probably lose my mind with that alone.
Because they were strategic in putting those in there.
Heart emoji, horny emoji, smiling emoji, eggplant emoji. I'm like, and then they say them like, I wonder if they mess up.
They had to have like had like a
They got to redo it,
like
right?
yeah, like
Yeah, that's probably true. Like they might mess up when they say something, and
yeah.
then the show is like, oh no, we got to re-record that, and you got to do that cleaner.
Oh, okay. There you go.
That's just a guess, though. Nobody has confirmed that.
I bet so. Yeah, and they probably had a cheat sheet, because when you want to sound really happy, because remember they were like, "Oh man," they would say something how they really felt, and they'd be like, "Oh man, let me act happy or whatever," and they'd be like, "Okay, laughing face emoji, happy emoji."
I've heard on like the challenge and also on Big Brother for the diary room entries
Uh-huh.
that if they do the diary room entry and production is like looks at it and it's not energetic or whatever, they're like, no, we got to reshoot that and you got to
Wow.
bring the energy. And I believe that. I definitely believe that
Yeah.
because they're making a TV show. So I think sometimes when you see them like, yeah, nah, nah, and they're all hyped up and amped up, sometimes they know how to do that by themselves, but sometimes it probably takes production direction.
And Big Brother does that too. They don't
Yeah.
talk about it because they can't talk about production.
Yeah, Big Brother contracts are serious. I
Mhm.
looked through only a fraction of the contract that you sent me, but what I looked at makes me know why these people don't want to say anything when they leave the show. It says they can be sued for like $5 million for breaching the contract. And nobody makes 5 million from the show, so basically like we're going to sue the pants off you.
Gonna be in debt, right?
For the rest of your life you're going to owe us.
Yeah, but they do that because they'll slip up and say it, and they'll be like, "Well, we want you to come with more energy, like you said, or we want you to say it this way," and it's usually when they're doing those challenges and they have a host for the challenge or something, and they want them to say it, or they want it. They probably like spend a lot of time in the diary room rehearsing stuff. I mean, going.
Yeah, I always wonder about that. I'm like, how do they do those so perfectly?
Oh yeah.
When they're announcing the game rules and everything, and the person's doing the hosting, I'm like, it's always so perfectly clean. I know some people have problems reading it sometimes and like mess up or, but you never see that. So, but that one is clearly rehearsed because you
Right.
know it. Because you know how they'll do like somebody will be like, oh, we're gonna transport them from here to this other spot in the house. And they do the wand and like everyone disappears and then shows up somewhere else in
Mhm.
their competition outfits. So those are the times when we see the dogs and cats on the live feeds.
Right.
When it's like this 3 hour block, we're doing production for the aired episode. That's what I would like to do, Nikki. If I had a choice between being on Big Brother or operating a Big Brother camera, I would love to operate the camera.
I wouldn't. That camera person sees everything. Oh my God. Mm-mm.
It
I,
would probably be strange at times now that you say it like that. Like they're watching the whole Monte thing, you know, when it's off the air for us, they're able to see everything that's going on, or like the cameras that are in the showers and all that.
mm-mm.
That part might be weird.
No, I wouldn't want to see all that.
But like the house stuff and the games and all that kind of stuff, yeah, I'd be interested to operate a camera for that.
Hmm.
That seems like it would be pretty fun. But then again, look at how taxing it was to cover the live feeds of what we saw.
Right.
Imagine your job is to do that.
Well, I'd have gotten paid a lot more. That's for
Yeah, I didn't make a dime
I
off of
didn't
all that coverage that I gave them. All that free coverage that I gave them just being a fan.
okay. Yeah, it's like I was sending people to Paramount basically. But then
I had people that told me that they weren't watching and started watching because of my live feed parties that I was showing.
or people couldn't get it wherever they were wherever they live.
Especially Canada.
Yeah.
I had a lot of Canadians that were like, our Paramount doesn't give us live feeds for USA, which they should. I feel like I understand if it's those other countries that are far away, but I
Hmm.
think Canada and US should be able to see each other's shows and live feeds.
Yes. Look how much trouble we're having going through getting the digital dailies. I mean, you gotta like
The VPN and all that stuff. Yeah.
come on
Yeah.
now. At least
Well,
Paramount Plus I can get free groceries through Walmart
I didn't know that.
and watch the show at the same. You can get free delivery trial, I think, or something like that with the Paramount Plus.
Oh, Paramount Plus partners with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like some people that have T-Mobile can get like a year free of Paramount Plus.
They have a lot of deals.
I'm a little bit bougie when it comes to that because I pay for the $9.99 one. I've
Hmm.
just gotten so sick of commercials.
Right.
So, I mean, it's not every app I do that with, but I definitely do it for Paramount Plus. And unfortunately, I do it for YouTube. The way how YouTube got me was because when they first started offering ad-free YouTube, they did like a free trial for 30 days. And I was like, I'm just going to do the 30-day trial and then cut it off after that. It'll just be nice not to have the commercials.
Hmm.
But I detest commercials on YouTube
Right.
because YouTube will put like 8 commercials in a 20-minute video. So it's like the video plays for 3 minutes and then you watch 2 minutes of ads. And I couldn't take it anymore. So when they did that free trial, I forgot to cancel it after the 30 days. I got charged again, and I've had it ever since.
It's worth it. YouTube Premium is worth it.
Do you have YouTube Premium?
Hmm.
Okay, then I guess we're both bougie.
But I hate that Instagram doesn't offer anything like that.
Instagram has ads.
Well,
I
not
mean,
ads. I'm sorry, but they don't have where you can. What I like about the premium is not only ridding the ads of ridding you what from seeing the ads, but the you can watch stuff in the background or you can do stuff in
yeah,
the
you can
background.
watch it in the background. And the thing I like too is like if I'm going to the gym and I want to put my music on, I
Yeah.
can actually put the playlist on YouTube or whatever and turn the screen off
Right.
and the music keeps playing.
Mhm.
Unlike if you don't have premium, it's only going to play if you actually have the screen actively on.
Right.
So it saves battery and you can listen to things in your pocket if you have headphones.
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing. And yeah, because we use our phones, we multitask with our phones. I know what you're talking about now that you said that. Like
Yeah.
if you hop on somebody's Instagram live, you're locked into the live.
Yeah, yeah. I
You
mean, it's
can't
my
use a
pocket.
phone for anything
Pocket,
else.
but
Yeah, I don't like that about Instagram either. They need to make Instagram where you can minimize the screen and do
right.
something else while it's on.
Exactly.
But then it also speaks to where we've come nowadays, where it's like, man, I like to do lots of different things at once.
Right.
Before we would be okay with it. But now that they've given us those options, it's not the same.
Instagram is like a rotary phone.
It is. Instagram has never really updated too much of what they do, and
Get
all the other apps have.
get with the program, IG.
Well, I'm going to be heading off in the next few minutes, but I want to thank you for joining me again. And do you have any final thoughts that you want to add into this live?
No, thanks for having me. It was a great interview. Go watch Chaz talk about the circle. He gives you a lot of good behind the scenes information. And if you haven't watched the circle already, binge watch it. It's really good.
Oh, I have to ask, when BB25 comes on, are you going to be giving us your Nick Shorts remixes?
Yeah, I think I will do it again this year. I will.
Okay, because those were really fun. Of all the channels, I that's how I found your channel in the first place. I want to say it was when Monte was going on. Or maybe you had been on my live before I found your channel. I don't know. But that's the first time I remember seeing your channel was when you had this video that was maybe 4 to 5 minutes that had like a summary of the buildup of the buildup of them getting to that point. It's like here's their little flirting, here's things they said in the house, and then here's them in the bed, and then here's them like the next day. I loved that.
Oh, yeah. It was a soap opera for sure.
I'm so interested to see when we get the live feeds again and just it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
thanks again, and you have a good night, and everyone watching as well.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.